Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I am delighted to be back here at the NRA. I don't know, it's been several years coming every year, and it seems like the crowds are getting bigger because the threat is getting bigger. And so I appreciate it, and I just want to, from the very beginning, thank you. You know, the greatest generation of America is the greatest generation of America, not because they were any braver, loved the country more, wanted to sacrifice more. The greatest generation is the greatest generation because they rose to meet the great challenge of their age. And that's what we're calling on you to do. That's why you're here. Because America is facing a great challenge. A challenge that's not coming from overseas, although we do have our challenges there. But the challenge is coming from here within our own confines of America. People who want to transform America. Well, we're asking each and every one of you to be the greatest generation that's going to stand up to that threat from within. People who want to change our country and change our very value structure. You folks have seen it probably more than all the others' rights that are under assault in America today. The NRA has been fighting for the Second Amendment now for decades upon decades, so you're all had at this. You've been doing this for a long time. You've seen the left for a long time and what they've tried to do to erode the Second Amendment. That's one of the reasons that I became an NRA member. In fact, every member of my family is an NRA member. Even Bella is an NRA member. We are gun owners, all of us. We like to shoot. We like to hunt. And very importantly, we like to protect ourselves, our families, and our homes. Very proud to say that Karen and I got our concealed carry permits, thanks to Darren Lasorte at the NRA, who helped us and did our training. And I will say to you that Karen owns more guns than I do. I don't know about most men, but you know, the default gift for most men is to buy flowers on a special occasion. For me, the safe bet, ammo. Right? Come on, right? Here's what I've learned, talking about my wife. Here's what I've learned. I've learned if you really want to know whether a politician is going to fight for you or not, if you really want to know whether that politician's going to go to the wall when things get tough, lots of folks are going to come out when things look easy and say all the right things. But when things get tough, and you know when that happens, particularly on the Second Amendment, one of the things you need to look at is you need to figure out whether the person they're sleeping with also happens to hold the same position they do on this issue. Now, in my case, the person I sleep with is my wife. That is not always the case in politics. And I can tell you, you are safe with me. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a very critical time in American history, and you know better than anybody else. America, I used to say when I was running a couple of years ago for president, I would go around and talk about how America is changing, how this president is leading this charge to change America. I think we need to step back and face the music. America has changed. America has changed. We are not the same country. The other side is winning. The other side is winning for one simple reason. It's the same reason that we won the American Revolution. We won the American Revolution not because we had better armaments than the British. We had a better Navy, a better Army, better generals, better supplies. Heck, 25% of the American public was for the British. No, we won because, well, remember these words at the end of the Declaration of Independence. We mutually pledged to ourselves. We mutually pledge ourselves our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Ladies and gentlemen, we won the American Revolution because we were all in. Because We wanted it more than they did. You look at any survey in America, and you look at people who identify themselves as believers in the founding principles of our country, conservatives who support the Constitution and the Declaration. And it runs about 40% of Americans identify themselves with that tradition of conservatism. On the other side, about 15 to 20% identify themselves as liberals, but we're losing. On every aspect, bigger government, more intrusive, taking away our rights. You've been fighting here at the NRA for the Second Amendment, and for freedom of political speech in the First Amendment, and for the Fourth Amendment. All of those things are under assault. Throw on top of that what's going on with freedom of religion. You know, our country, as Marco just talked about, is different than any other country in the history of the world. Do you know why? I was in Mexico a month or two ago. And you know, the Mexican Constitution was adopted in 1857, is almost identical to the American Constitution. Almost identical. They have the same House structure, same Senate structure, judiciary, president. But they had one very clear difference, and it's made all the difference. You see, in Mexico, they specifically say that rights come from the government. And when the rights come from the government, then the government can take away those rights. They can tell you how to exercise those rights. No other country in the history of the world has ever been based on the foundation that rights come to us from God. That's what makes us unique in America. Where do you think these rights come from? These unalienable rights, rights that can't be transferred or given away. Where does the right to protect yourself come from? Where does the right to speak, to think, to believe? They come with the dignity of every human person that God has created each and every one of us. That's what makes us different, folks. And so when you see, as you are seeing, an assault on religious liberty, an assault on that core First Amendment freedom. It's the most important of all freedoms, ladies and gentlemen. I have to tell you why. It's great to be able to protect yourself. It's great to be able to speak. It's great to be able to associate. But if you can't believe what you want to believe, those are empty and hollow rights. Freedom of conscience is the trunk upon which all other rights come from and give meaning to all of those rights. And ladies and gentlemen, they are coming straight at it. Whether it's through Obamacare, whether it's through redefining marriage, you name it, they are coming at it. You have the President of the United States now who talks about not freedom of religion, listen to his words, freedom of worship. Ladies and gentlemen, to maybe the untrained ear, that sounds like the same thing, but it's not. Freedom of worship is what you do inside the four walls of that church. Freedom of religion is what you do outside the four walls of that church. And they want to tell you it's okay to do whatever you want inside the church, but once you come outside that church, you're mine. I get to tell you what to do. I get to tell you what insurance you have to buy or whether you can hold certain beliefs on the institution of marriage. I'm going to tell you. They're not looking for tolerance. They're looking for acceptance, and they're looking for you to succumb to their beliefs, conformity, because they believe government gives rights, not God. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here talking to you about this because there has been no other group of people in America, none, who have been more successful in fighting the left agenda, the secular left, big government, government-granted rights agenda than the NRA and gun owners across this country. You have stood up to the millions of dollars of the elite, and you know it's the elite. It's the elite in our culture who are fighting. But you've stood up to them. In good times and in bad, when it's really hard to stand up, you have stood tall. You have been principled. You've been principled. You've been honest. You've been forthright. And you've been winning. So I'm coming to you to say thank you first. But it's not enough. Our rights are being assailed everywhere. And just protecting the Second Amendment while all the other freedoms falter is not a winning strategy. We need you to engage. People ask me all the time, well, what does that mean? What do I do? And my answer is always the same. Something. Do something. Do something in your schools. You know the most popular high school textbook in America that teaches American history? The most widely used high school textbook is by a man named Howard Zinn, who is an avowed Marxist, anti-American hater of this country. Now, is that textbook in your schools? Do you know? Do you know what's going on in your business? All of these businesses are succumbing to the left, adopting all of these liberal policies, changing the culture of America. How did that happen? There's twice as many of us as there are of them because they fight. They don't give up. They do what you do, but they're doing it on all of these other issues, and we don't have people with your stomach to fight. You see, I know you fight. I know you're willing to risk. I know you're willing to sacrifice. We need your leadership. We need your leadership not just on the Second Amendment, but on every piece of the First Amendment and all the other amendments that grant us our freedom. My charge to you as leaders, and you are, of folks who have stood tall and fought and won and continue to win, that we need you. You know, it'd be nice to say, well, you know, look, I'm doing my thing. I really care about the Second Amendment and I'm doing my thing. And maybe that's all you can do. And if that's all you can do, God bless you, keep doing it. But you were here for a reason to hear this message. Your country needs you. Your country needs you at this critical moment to fight on every level, because the same folks who are attacking the Second Amendment are attacking your other freedoms, and they're working on every front. We need you to engage. I have confidence. I have confidence if you bring the same toughness, the same truth, the same energy and passion, the NRA can not only save the Second Amendment, you can save America. Thank you, and God bless you.